Good afternoon, this is Chandra Easton here from StarAstrologyHealing.com, speaking to you today about my travels throughout Australia. It's a very ancient land. I'm in the southwest, or the great southern part of Western Australia, in a region that's full of ancient granite. Yes, this and other travel videos you can find on the website StarAstrologyHealing.com under Footsteps of Light. I want to talk to you about the area just around the town of Albany. I think Albany's probably, maybe it's 350 kilometres south east of Perth, something like that, and I've gone to a place called the Granite National Park. And I discovered when I went to this place that it's a place of enormous granite rocks. And the reason why the granite is so magnificent here and so upthrust is because some long time ago, don't remember how long ago, it was some millions of years ago when Antarctica and Australia collided as they were separating. This part of the southern coastline of Western Australia was created through tectonic activity. The Aboriginal teachings associated with this region, there's a place here called the Gap, and the teachings are that there were two brothers and they had come into dispute over a woman, I think it was, and they were standing on either side of this gap, aiming their weapons at each other, and it had a bad outcome. They both fell to their death, and one became a stingray and one became a, what was it, a whale? I forget. And that they swim forever in these waters to remind people, no doubt, that there are other ways of resolving conflict, and also on a more pragmatic level, that this is a very dangerous ocean here. I'll just show you the clip that I've taken. Just standing up above the gap, and there on one side you can see one of the brothers was standing there. They had weapons that they aimed at each other. You see the enormity of the granite. It goes up and up and up. I've turned the sound down, but you can still hear the ocean. It's much louder than this, and of course very windy. I'm standing on an overreaching platform, directly above the gap really. Wild coastline, as I've found most of the West Australian coastline into the Indian Ocean's very wild. Yes, so this is a magnificent part of the country to come to, and it's a reminder really of tectonic changes from a long time ago. There's another thing called the bridge here, and the water goes in and out underneath this bridge according to the surging tides, and of course there have been deaths there. And Albany is a town that's got a seafaring history that goes back, through European settlement the last 300 or 400 years. There have been the French and the Dutch here, and other nationalities no doubt. But I travelled from Albany through the forest up to the Granite National Park, and again I discovered the same thing. This is the lands of the traditional owners, the Minang Noongar people. And as I arrived at this national park that stretches sort of east to west, and it's about 670 metres above sea level again, there was mention of the West Australian craton, that must be the continental plate I suppose, colliding with the Mawson craton, that's the Antarctic, 1200 million years ago. And the magma has created this whole coastline here, from here all the way through another several hundred kilometres down to Esperance. Powerful, magnificent country, and I'm walking to walk in the up to the Granite. I had to go walk for about an hour, fairly steep climb up to a granite skywalk and a balancing rock to look out over the surrounding district, passing through woodlands and flowers and the occasional boulders, this sort of the evidence of this magma, this violent magma explosion as a result of the tectonic crash. And I love boulders and always had a thing for the stone country. I feel at home in the stone country, and there's a sense that I have that the traditional owners and the spirits who've gone before, that they are there and we walk through the land, and that they are embodied in these enormous stones. Here's one of the balancing rock, a couple of other people fooling around, and I'm standing at the balancing rock just connecting into the traditional owners. And from there you could look up, and it's another, I don't know, 150 or so metres, kind of pretty much straight up. I don't know how many steps there were. You had to scramble over gaps and then climb up a very upright ladder, to get to the top to look out. And the sense of presence of the forest being so close and looking down over the treetops, and of course very windy. The magnificence of this rock and this landscape, it's all around, and the skywalk was such that one could look in all directions down to the ocean, down to Albany, probably, I don't know, a couple of 100 kilometres I think away. Yeah, and just being able to be with these mighty, mighty stones in this fabulous, fabulous part of the world, and had a sense of peace here and a sense of protection. And then in one direction, as I look to the north, you can see the Stirling Ranges, which is also one part of the granite country. And there's something about rock and granite that survives molten earth and tectonic activity and volcanoes. And we're in such a time again now. We're living through tremendous times. I think it was only a week or so ago that there was an earthquake in Victoria, in the mountains, in the northeastern part of Victoria, and I think that kind of reminds us all that we're sort of on borrowed time, really. I've got an image here. I'll just turn the sound down a little bit, of the view from standing on top of this mighty, mighty castle rock, looking in all directions. Very statuesque, these rock sentinels, and it just gives me a sense of the smallness of my place in the universe, and how time is, our day-to-day lives seem very small compared to the millennium that the forest and the rock and the earth has taken to create such places. And reminds me that in a blink of an eye the ocean could again arise up, and at times as we're moving through this period of the great change, we need places of sanctuary, and I'm on the very strong sense that we need to be away from oceans, and in places such as this, in the mighty Brongarup National Park. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for the moment. This is Chandra Easton from Star Astrology Healing. Bye for now.